Astrology Corner, and this is your daily horoscope and energy reading for the energy shift that's going to be happening today. Saturn is going to retrograde. Now, when planets go into retrograde, a couple things happen. Delays. And especially when you were talking Saturn, Saturn is the planet that rules delays and obstacles and endurance, discipline, responsibility, duty. So, if any of you find that you are not focusing on being diligent in your life, you're going to find that Saturn emphasizes some areas during this retrograde. Now, it's important to know that when planets are in retrograde, it's a slowdown period for you. And we're going to have, most of our planets are going to start to drop into retrograde here. We're going to have Mars in retrograde. We're going to have Saturn in retrograde, Jupiter in retrograde, Pluto in retrograde. So it's important to understand that this is a time to slow down, relax, reflect. It's a great time to reconsider, recall the past. A lot of times when we are caught in retrogrades, it's a time where we really focus on the past. It is a time where it redirects your thoughts back to the past a lot, and we reconsider some of life's lessons. It reinforces those lessons learned. So as planets move forward, they give us a lot of input, and a lot of information is thrown at us. And then it's very hard to react to all of that when we don't know how to prioritize what was what. We just went through a pretty emotional episode where we were dealing with karma. And, Saturn's to me, feels like a very karmic part of our lives. Wherever Saturn is, that's where you get most of your life lessons, and you go on most of the karmic cycles that we endure as we try to figure out and redefine that area for us so that we can attach to the highest form of vibration. But before we do that, we've got to learn a lesson. Saturn is a great taskmaster, and it really is trying to reinforce being broad-minded. You're going to be examining your personal philosophies. Your belief systems are very important to reflect upon during this time frame. Also, there's a sense of physical responsibility to your body, the discipline that it takes to recharge your body, to keep it refined. Our body is a vessel, it's an engine. If our vessel, our engine is not working right, then we need to, go to the doctors. Saturn is all about all those little things we don't really want to attend to. It's about the day-to-day drudgery, the mundane world. It really rules the mundane world. And so if there is a point in your life where you are lacking the confidence to move forward, sorry, I've been sick for like 2 days. If you are having a hard time, and say that you're trying to find your life path, and you're trying to find that, what are your personal philosophies? What do you idealize about life? Where are your morals and your values? What is it that you're identifying yourself with? That's very Sagittarian, broad-minded, elevated thinking type of questions. And so you're going to find that a lot of you are going to be thinking about maybe going back to school or finishing a degree, or reflecting on, this is the point in my life. Am I at the point in my life that I always thought I would be? Saturn is just it forces us to face what we refuse to see, what we refuse to deal with. And if we are not living a very disciplined and responsible life, if we are not dealing with the day-to-day life, then what Saturn does is throw up obstacles as far as an expansion And that is, because really, honestly, Sagittarius is all about expansion. But when a planet goes retrograde, it kind of reverses that. So it's like you can't expand right now because this is where you need to be redirected to. If some of you experience a stop sign and it's just this huge roadblock, that just simply means that you're being redirected to pay attention to what you need to pay attention to. This is a time where I don't think that necessarily our energy levels are going to be low because this is all in fire. We're dropping into fire energy. Fire energy is very, very physically activated. This and Sagittarius is very physically activated. What I think it's more about is the stamina to endure life's lessons, or the stamina to really reflect, to really be honest, to really be truthful about what it is you want, what it is you expect, where you're going right, where you're going wrong, where you've illusioned yourself into believing that, or deluded yourself into believing that, you were going to attain something. There's no, and Saturn will take its time. Sorry. Saturn is going to take its time. It is not about giving you what you want. That's Jupiter. Jupiter's also in retrograde, so Jupiter's not really giving you what you want either. It's not really this benefic planet right now. It's almost malefic because whatever you have going on in your life has been expanding in a negative way. Many of you are experiencing, if some of you have had health issues, they're starting to expand and get out of control, and it's forcing you to realign, reassess your health, reassess the value you place on your health, the value that it is to have a healthy engine. That's what you need to endure and move and go to work and change your outcome. And if you've been ignoring it and if you've been putting in the cheapest form of unleaded gasoline into your engine, then you got to redefine it and think, well, I deserve the highest octave of gasoline. That's what's been going on. But now that Saturn dumps into here, because Saturn is Sagittarius is a very physical energy, I believe that many of us are going to feel like our stamina just isn't there. What am I being redirected to pay attention to? Especially if some of you are off just trying to be opportunistic, you're going to find it just to be very difficult. So just understand that delays are possible. You could find that you have to postpone things. Things that may cost more money. Money is a big deal, especially, guys, Pluto is going to be dropping into retrograde, and that's when money is going to become a very big deal. But for now, I just think you need to really be mindful. Saturn is considered the father energy, the authority figure of energy as well. So this does rule the end of your life, the passing of time, old age. It rules tradition, wisdom, anything that needs to stand the test of time. I think it's important to pay attention to too in this energy. Just a very interesting energy when I was really, really pouring my little heart into Saturn, because Saturn's in my 12th house. So I really, really pay attention to Saturn. Saturn makes my life very difficult a lot. And so I have a high respect for this conservative planet. And when it goes into retrograde, I really, honestly, what it points me to, I actually pay attention to, because you can't push through a Saturn redirection. It's just not possible because it just gets more and more difficult. The roadblocks get more and more intense. So if you start to experience a subtle hint, take it and go back and sit in Saturn's classroom, because you will pay if you don't. Anyhow, guys, thank you so much for watching Annette's Astrology Corner, and I look forward to telling you how this is going to affect your sun, moon, and your rising sign. Hey dear Aries, this is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your energetic reading for Saturn retrograding in Sagittarius. Now, For you, this is a time to slow down and examine what you are aligning with internally. It is a time to internally experience expansion. This is not about external rewards. This is about internal rewards. It's a time to be accountable and accept responsibility for you and your impact that you have on others. It's a great time to consider personal boundaries and develop endurance that will empower you and give you some more willpower to endure. So this is a reality check, I think, for many of you that allow ego to make many of your decisions. If you're in that ego-based mode, then Saturn goes in there and makes you and humbles you a little bit. This is a great time to explore your options when making decisions and create peace of mind. That's all the very highest form of a Saturn retrograde for you. A negative vibration for you is that it is easy to get lost in the past in this energy. You may over-examine losses in your life, and you may feel somewhat helpless. I think you feel like you are a victim, that you're subject to the universe's whims, that you're not in control as you like to be. You may feel somewhat hopeless in the state that if you experience obstacles, it may feel hopeless that you can overcome them, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It may be difficult to envision a brighter future, and you may feel pessimistic or sorry for yourself and an inability to cope. And many of you may turn to poor coping methods in order to mask this reality check. For many of you, this has to do with expanding your belief system, expanding the fact that you have faith that everything turns out, no matter how terrible it is, it turns out for the best. Expanding your thoughts, not being so judgmental, not being so hypercritical of others. And if you're going to be a true leader, then you have to understand that every soul is weak or has weaknesses, places they suffer, and to not always go after everybody else's state of suffering if you are in a low vibration, but to realize that everybody's on a journey and have that deep compassion. What I think that this is going to help you do is develop compassion. And if it strikes home, if it strikes your ego, and if you go through the lesson yourself, I believe that it's easier for you to then, when it comes around, after you've been humbled, when it comes around and you're having to be out into the world and seeing people, I think it helps you go, oh God, I remember when I felt like that, and that didn't feel great. And so I believe that that's where you're going to find the sweetest lesson in this energy. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching Annette's Astrology Corner, and I look forward to talking to you guys again on the next astrological event. Hey dear Taurus, it's Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your energetic reading for Saturn moving into retrograde in Sagittarius. Now for you, you're in a state of transformation, of change. Many of you could be going through drastic changes at this time. You may be facing a change in the way that you envision your future. And I think I think for many of you, because your ruler right now is in Pisces and it's conjunct with Chiron and conjunct with Neptune, there is a dreaminess about it. There's a hopeful feeling to this energy for me. I think that you are excited about the changes because you know that it's going to expand your options. I think you may pretend to be excited about this time of expansion, but you may tell others what you want them to hear. I think what I'm trying to say is right now you're going to be somewhat secretive about some of the changes that you're making because of the impact that they can have. But I think the way that you go about making these changes may be somewhat on the DL for sure. And I think you may be telling people what you want what you think they want to hear, because there's just stuff going on inside you, ways that you're dealing with this. And the hope that you have, you don't want others to shatter, I think, too. I think, you don't want the realism at this point. You want that, I don't know, that pretty delusional state that sometimes you get in when, you think everything is going to go your way. I think that it's going to be a futile attempt to maintain a balanced mindset when you are taking a risk, because here's the thing. You're very, very sensitive and very, very intuitive. And I think for many of you, you know that there is a risk that you need to take right now. But I think that the risk that you need to take is somewhat intimidating. It is very scary. It can affect your day-to-day life if you take this risk. And I think for many of you, there's a sense that you don't know. Every time you've tried to take risks, I think in the past, it has been, I think this is going to draw you to the past a lot. This is going to be a very, very reflective time. I can't say that all of the reflective memories that you have are going to be positive, because what I believe is that every time you've made a change in your past and you've tried to make this big investment in your future in hope, I think that failure inevitably follows. So what happens when planets go into retrograde is the reflective period can sometimes bring back past pain, past karmic lessons that you learned. Now, what you guys need to keep your eye on the ball with is that Saturn is a taskmaster. It is malefic, and right now Saturn is in a square with your ruler. If you experience a reality check, or the word no, or an obstacle, or disappointment, or there's just this sense that you didn't get what you want and you're being redirected, or that there's a delay. Maybe you were building up and you wanted this result right now, and the answer was no from the universe. The answer was no from a partner, a potential partner. Then I believe that it's just because there was something that you failed to see. There's something that will be revealed later. And there's something that you need to take care of right now. There's something that's in your immediate environment, something about that has to do with your day-to-day routines. Taking a risk is great. Putting all your chips on black is great, but Saturn really isn't about that big gamble. It's more about the slow, steady climb. It's about longevity. It's about investing in things that will last a lifetime. And so if you do experience a reality check, or the change is drastic, or the change doesn't go as you expected, that just understand that that you're being asked to commit to a bigger change than you initially expected. I believe that is all part of the plan that maybe we don't always see, because, we can only see 200 feet ahead of us, like we're on a dark road. I love this in The Secret. And he's talking about, well, just have the faith that you'll see the next 200 feet if you just keep moving forward. So the negative vibration of this energy is that externally you may be trying to maintain control, yet internally you may feel sensitive and perhaps fearful of making a commitment to change your future right now. Expansion may feel like it's expanding some of your insecurities as well. Anytime we get excited, and anytime you make the change has good and bad associated with it. Every sword it's a double-edged sword. And I always comfort myself with those words, the double-edged sword. Along with the good always comes something bad. You have to have that sort of mental discipline. You cannot believe delusionally that life is, okay, so let's say you take a new job. and because Venus rules money, and you think this job is going to be great, it's going to increase your money, but then a disappointment comes. The reality is, wow, this job, not so great. I didn't see this about the job. I didn't see that. I committed to this. I'm tired. I'm not getting a lot of pleasure from this. It's not meeting up to my illusion I created about this. The reality is that is life. You take a job and you get really excited about how much you're going to make, but guess what? It's hard freaking work, and it's day-to-day rituals and routines. Saturn is about the rituals and the routines. It really is. It's not a planet that is merciful. It's a planet that if you work hard and you're diligent and you endure, then it becomes benefic. Longevity. It's strength. It's strength. You need to build, when you go through strength training, you don't just get strong because you lifted weight one day. You have to lift weights for a period of time and build and tear down muscle and build and tear down muscle until you get what you want. So that's where you're at. This is also about adaptability, and adaptability meaning in your rigid thinking. What's coming up, these changes that you're being guided to make, which I feel are very substantial. For many of you, this is about the word commitment for you. And this isn't a word that you guys take altogether lightly. It's a slow coming word for you. It's a word that I feel is a scary word. And so you guys take a really, really long time to commit to mindsets, commit to belief systems, you commit to causes, anything that you commit to. There has to be a sense of earthly longevity to it. But in this energy, the highest form of it is just, the risk that's involved is the fact that you have to expand right now. It's not about staying stuck. That'll bring about an ending, no matter which way you look at it. And it's not, you can't just stay where you are. I mean, I wish we could, because sometimes there's been great times in my life where I could just pause, freeze frame, and just replay those days. But as you well know, this is about really honestly being responsible for your future. So guys, Saturn is such a planet of let me just tell you how to live your life. And it's very difficult right now because you're not a bull that likes to be pushed. But I believe right now you are a bull that's being pushed, shoved, redirected. And if you resist, you're going to fall into this Saturn square that I see, where, you know what? The reality is you have to work hard for money. You have to endure. You have to, if you want a relationship, you have to make a commitment. You have to be honest. You have to be open. You have to be compassionate and loving. You don't get to hold back in this energy. This isn't about silently suffering. This is about confessing the way that you're feeling and the way that what you need and you want, and you need to get what you want. Anyhow, guys, thank you so much for watching this Astrology Corner, and I look forward to talking to you guys again on the next astrological event. Hi, Gemini. This is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your energetic reading for Saturn retrograding in Sagittarius. So for you, lovely energy. It is so nice to see that when it starts out, it is in just this lovely aspect to your ruler. So I think that you are completely focused on a desired outcome. You are very, very optimistic that suffering is a thing of the past. You are not afraid to speak your mind, and if there is a better way to resolve relationship issues so that you can move beyond them. Your mind is aligned with what you deeply desire, so being flexible and considering your partner's needs will be something you will lovingly provide. Okay. Mercury in Aries is in conjunct with the sun in Aries. So your desires are aligning with the way that you're thinking right now. And what you're thinking about is just the biggest thing that you can think about, which is hopes and dreams. What you deeply, deeply desire on an ego-based level, on what do I want, and Saturn is trying, this retrograde, when it starts out, is trining your ruler and trining this conjunction, and Mars is on board, and they're all sitting in, the place that rules relationships for you. So relationships are going to be a focus for you. They're going to be a great source of comfort. Again, that doesn't mean that relationships for some of you are going to, like some of you that are single, that this won't affect you. It will. We're in relationship with everything. We have friends that we are in relationships with. We have soulmates that don't necessarily have any sort of sexual component. They are just people that our soul desires for expansion and growth. I believe that this is for many, many, many Geminis. This is about somebody that helps guide you, mentors. This is about the people that bring positivity into your life and the trine of energy. They are guided. They have a lot of wisdom. They have a lot. They're stable. They show you stability. These people have very broad-minded approaches. They're very, very easy to talk to. If you have any of these people in your life, they are really the relationships at this point to nurture. There's something to be said for nurturing these particular relationships, because I believe that some of them are very, very divinely guided and put in your path for very, very specific reasons. More importantly, what I believe that this isn't a time of making progress. It's a time of reflection. Looking into the mirror of people, the people that you're attracting, is very, very cathartic. I mean, I believe that others are the mirrors of where we're at. So if many of you are in a state of peace and happiness and you're making decisions, if many of you are going back to school, if many of you are pursuing some sort of elevated learning, if many of you could find some commonalities with people in your life, especially friends. Friends could easily turn into lovers and significant long-term relationships in this energy. If you guys are both taking the slow road and you have a lot in common, you could talk to this person for hours. They seem to understand you down to the depths. This is about somebody who encourages growth and potential, but doesn't push you in any way. This is that person that's a trine. It's just such an easy flow to be around. And that's the person that you're going to want to focus on and expand with, and share your ideas with. Saturn is a very wise soul, and it's being guided. You're being guided to consider all types of these relationships. Like I said, the relationship, I mean, yes, this does have some sort of conventional flavor to it, because Saturn is involved in, and Saturn rules tradition and conventional relationships. And so there is a sense of, it's probably a very, very, very significant partner, somebody that you're seeing spending the rest of your life with. This is somebody that it's about making a commitment for many of you. I don't think the commitment's going to be difficult for you to want to make if you are, because this could be a person that's from your past. That there's a sense of comfort, a sense of familiarity, a sense of belonging when you're around this person. There's just a release of insecurity around this person. More importantly, this person is very, very accepting of the authentic self, which is very important. So if you find this person in your life, I would say that it's possible this person could be significantly older than you, or this person may also be mentally very, very wise. So this is an old soul flavor to this energy. This is a beautiful energy for you. I'm loving it. I love that you are catching a break here, and that this is all about the big plan, the hope, the dream. And in this energy, Saturn is not malefic, it's benefic. And when Saturn's benefic, it just releases you to expand. And because you don't have to be guided, you're not that person that's going to pull back into the classroom and say, wow, you didn't get the lesson the last time, so here's again. You don't get that karmic lesson. So I believe for you, it's an ending of a karmic cycle and a new beginning. Anyhow, guys, thank you so much for watching Annette's Astrology Corner, and I look forward to talking to you guys again on the next astrological event. Hi, dear Cancer. This is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your energetic reading for Saturn retrograding in Sagittarius. Now, okay. All right. The positive thing about this transit, is that it will help you see where you lack daily discipline and balance. Balance is a big word for you. I don't think that this is so much about other people. This is how you experience internal balance. It's going to be very, very evident that there is something that you're going to have to balance between partnerships, unions, relationships, and your work-based commitments, your duties, your responsibilities, your determination in these areas, your commitment to these areas is going to be something that there's going to be some sort of resistance. Whenever Saturn goes into retrograde, it's a check. It's a checkpoint. How we doing? And for you, I believe there's just a sense of imbalance. This is between family, home and family. It's between, when it starts out, it's between work, and it's between relationships. You have a lot that you are taking on right now. And there's a sense of imbalance. To me, when I felt your energy, I immediately just associated it with that. This is going to be a time where you can learn to create life-work balance. Remaining consistent has been a problem in the past regarding this area. So here's what I see for most Cancers. Most Cancers have these selfless, nurturing natures. And then they have these big dreams and goals. And often you'll sacrifice your hopes, your dreams, and your wishes and your career, life path, destiny for your home and to nurture your environment. Now, many Cancers attract people who need to be nurtured and who are, to me, they just seem like they're kind of like an energy vampire. They're always suckling on you. And so you need to set firm boundaries. Saturn is discipline. Saturn is telling people that they need to be responsible and they need to be accountable for their daily duties as well. So this isn't about you doing everything and then doing nothing, and for you to taking on all the burdens, and for you to make excuses. No, this isn't what this energy is about. It is about it's about recalling the fact that you probably have done this before. So to me, this has a little bit of a karmic flavor to it. Not so much that you're repeating the karmic past, but that it's a point of reflection. You need to recall the past, not live in it. Because Cancers can live in the past. You need to recall the past. You need to reassess. Okay, starting point here. How much progress have I made? And then you need to restructure. You need to add order. You need to get organized with your priorities. Because balancing home and family and work and developing a career, life path, destiny for yourself in broad-minded, expansive energies such as Sagittarius can be very, very mentally demanding. So many of you are experiencing probably mental opposition. You're probably feeling like there's not a lot of structure, there's not a lot of order. There's the feeling of you're being burdened, it's being weighed, all the responsibility has been put upon you. And that I believe that for some of you, unfortunately, the negative vibration of that is I don't believe you feel appreciated completely for everything you're doing. And there's a sense that you need some recognition, I think, from a significant partner for some of you, that are really trying to do everything you can to make everybody happy. So a partner may lack the ability to provide you with the stability that you need at this time. So this can be for some of you, while they're walking on their own journey and they're taking care of their own business. This is about you being somewhat self-oriented, and for you to consider that I'm going to allot this much of me for family, this much of me for career, life, path, destiny, going back to school, whatever it is that you're trying to do to move forward, and what sort of recognition you desire on top of it, and what do you invest into partnerships. It is about creating that life balance. I can tell you, I work 2 jobs. It's very, very difficult, the career life balance thing. And then on top of that, having a relationship, a close partnership with right now with me, it's been very difficult because how do I allot time for everything? I completely relate to this, for the Cancer side of it anyway. But it's just very significant that you start to work on the word balance. So I love that Saturn's in here saving the day. It is allowing you to set some rules, set some boundaries. It is allowing you to add some structure to all of these areas so that you can maintain life work balance, life relationship work balance. I believe that this is going to improve all of these relationships, all of these areas significantly by the time that we start to move forward again. This is a point of slowing down, reassessing, take it easy, don't judge. This is just a time to reassess. It's okay. I really prefer energy when we get to slow down a little bit, because that starts to allow us to see things more clearly. Instead of always persevering and moving forward, we actually get to really honestly concentrate on these little details. And, I believe that Saturn is all about the daily details, the details of life, that day-to-day life that really makes life worth living. Not to mention Jupiter's in Virgo, which is in retrograde, and that's all about that balance. So if many of you are living in your extremes, you're living in extremes right now, many of you probably have been having a lot of significant health problems, and it's just your body's way of saying, slow down, reassess, where are you in balance? Anyhow, guys, thank you so much for watching Annette's Astrology Corner, and I look forward to talking to you guys again on the next Ask What in a little bit. Hi, Leos. This is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your energetic reading for Saturn retrograding in Sagittarius. Now for you, all of this fire energy is filling you with a fearless energy. You are taking a calculated risk where you have considered every possible flaw that will leave you feeling confident about the new beginning. So for many of you, you really, okay, so with Mars slowing down, because it's going to go into a retrograde, this isn't about gung-ho, take that risk, bet everything that you have on black and just go for it. That's really honestly a good Mars and Sagittarius, but because the energy is now at that slowdown period, we've got Jupiter in Virgo in retrograde, we've got Saturn in retrograde. This is about taking very, very calculated risks, something that you have thought through, something that seems to be that you have the belief system that it is a solid investment. You are not moving forward ego-based at this. This is something that you really have thought about. There is a belief that this risk will have the possibility of longevity, which is why you are experiencing the trine. Many people believe that you can't make a decision when planets are in retrograde. And I believe that that's not true. I believe that if it's a past-based decision, I mean, if there's something that's based off of a past-based idea, something that you have really, really thought through, it's went through the entire zodiacs, all of its lessons, it still sounds like a really good idea, then I believe that you stay on that path because it has the past feel of longevity. Saturn rules longevity. So believe me that if you make a decision and this risk doesn't turn out right, Saturn will throw up an obstacle and you'll learn that that wasn't the right way to go. So to me, as long as it's not a big financial risk, which I think would be really stupid, I believe that it's the time to move forward and to keep on that steadfast path. Keep doing what you're doing. I think that you were in a cycle in the past that taught you to be mindful of signs and obstacles. So I believe that for many of you, if you see signals, if your intuition gets that little buzz, then I think many of you are going to pull back and not move forward ego-based. You've already went through your Saturn retrograde cycle. It was very, very difficult. You went through all the Pluto-Uranus squares. There's a lot of humbling going on with Leos. When I was watching the Leos go through everything, I couldn't help but feel sorry for them. And I'm of course a Leo, and it handed my butt to me. But I also now, I can tell you this, I also now pay attention to every signal out there. And if there's an obstacle, I just know, Saturn, whatever planet's influencing me, I pay attention. And right now, Saturn is really going to present that restriction, limitation. It's going to postpone or delay things that aren't solid at this point because Saturn rules longevity. So don't worry about it. If you're very mindful of paying attention to details, then this is wonderful energy for you. I think that many of you can see a pleasurable outcome and you feel it is time to intuitively follow your guides slowly forward with your eyes wide open. Again, that is that I'm going to keep my eyes open. I'm going to watch for signs. I'm going to listen to my intuition. We just went through all of that healing, cleansing, endings of karmic cycles. So now I think many of you the beginnings that many of you are taking are expansion, very calculated though. You know, you're very, very conservative in this energy. I think for many of you. It's a beautiful time for you. The energy is really, really good. I believe that your desires in your mind are very, very articulate. They're very, very on point. So just keep moving forward. You're doing great, but just don't get all caught up in all of the fun and fire energy that's coming your way. Just slowly trine and watch for the signs and you'll be just fine during this retrograde. Anyhow, guys, thank you so much for watching Annette's Astrology Corner, and I look forward to talking to you guys again on the next astrological event. Hey, dear Virgos, this is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your energetic reading for for Saturn retrograding in Sagittarius. Now for you, slowing down and waiting for a sign on how to proceed is something that you will welcome right now. Hey, a lot came your way. There's been a lot going on in Virgo's lives. I believe that the realization is that a change is necessary and that there was a lot of confusion. The mutable energy showed you that things needed to be changed, but there was a lack of clarity. When Saturn retrograde, it allows you to reflect and reconsider. Those are very important words right now for you. If you want to slow down, this is when your mind kind of gets clearer. you envision things so clearly that it is easy for you to know how to proceed. I think if you would just launch and not think things through, that would be very foolhardy. But this is a trine energy, so this is about taking it slow and being precise and only making decisions that have longevity in mind, not just some sort of short-term band-aid. Then that's when Saturn would be an obstacle. Your mind and thoughts have been scattered, so you may feel like you need to educate yourself on how to make a plan or a strategy that is firm, that has some sort of consistency to it. I want to go back to that feeling of the clay, and it's just very, very mutable right now. Virgo energy is an interesting energy source. It has really been shaped and molded, and it will continue to be. This is kind of a Virgo year, and so many Virgos are feeling like they're being molded, whether they want to be or not. And I believe that there's a sense of resistance at times, that you want to feel like you have some control in areas that you don't necessarily have control. And so this reflective point is where you get to isolate where you are out of control, where the clay is too saturated to really hold a shape. And I believe that because even though we're in a very, very mutable year, and mutable energies are going through major, major transformative times, I also believe that there's a sense that this clay is drying out and that you are shaping your clay, but it's like you start to shape it and you wait a day and the light hits it and you think you should make a groove there. And then, you kind of pause and you take a look at it and you go off and you get some more life experience, and you go back and you shape your clay and you maybe add some definition there. You're on the slow process of transformation, but it is definite. It is every time you do this, that absolute definition that you create is perfect. It's perfect. You're not just shaping your clay and then, oops, I'm going to go back. I didn't like that. Add a little bit more to shape the clay. Like, you're not scattered. Your time is wisdom for you. And I think that you are clear enough to understand that in this energy, you want to make changes that last a lifetime. And so you are not hasty to make these decisions. You have to have the belief, and you have to have the structure for you to commit to that little definition of your clay. And it's a beautiful energy for you. I think what is amazing is that you may find this energy to be very, very intuitive, and that it helps you find reliable sources of information when you're making these plans and these strategies. And that's very, very high form of Saturn that will make Saturn benefic. And Saturn is benefic right now for you. Thank goodness. It is about creating that. It's about finding the resources. It's about taking the time. It's about the investment. You are making an investment right now of some sort in an outcome. There has been so much input, and it's time to sit down and categorize it and log it and research it. And this is all, bam, Virgo energy at its highest form of vibration. Nobody's better at this energy than you. And so I think that it's easy for you to sit down and be a student in the great Taskmaster's classroom. I think you're very, very good at this. You tell me what you need to know. People who are wise, siblings may be a great source. Neighbors, people that are in your closest circles may be great source, especially wise people, or old souls, may have some sort of amazing insight to help firm up, some of these mindsets that really, really need to be expanded. Now, understand the crazy thing is that although Saturn rules, ultra conservative, traditional thinking, it's an expansive Sagittarius. So this is about expanding our belief. This is about expanding our mindsets, but it's about expansion on, you're finding reliable resources. There's some sort of validity. There's some sort of wisdom. You're seeking sources that have something that has, I don't know, some sort of proof that the investments that you're making are the way to go. This isn't all in that Piscean mindset. It's good to drop into Pisces and then have all the Sagittarius influence, because we get all this dreamy, crazy, swirly confusion. And then we get Sagittarius coming in and honing it all down. And because there's a lot of intuitive messages, there was a lot of very profound thinking when you were in Sagittarius, but now we're out to, let's isolate it, let's set it down, let's put it into what my ego needs and desires right now. What can we do to get into a routine that has the possibility for longevity? Anyhow, guys, thank you so much for watching Annette's Astrology Corner, and I look forward to talking to you guys again on the next astrological event. Hi, dear Libra. This is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your energetic reading for Saturn retrograding in Sagittarius. Now, for you. In the past, you lacked the discipline to say no to what did not make you feel appreciated. You went after what you wanted, but you often, after that, followed along with whomever you went after. So whatever you wanted, you tended to go with the flow to get that affirmation. So, for you, I think your thoughts sometimes were influenced by the ways that other people viewed things. Here's what I notice about every single Libra I've ever known. And I have a very strong Libran mindset because it's dominant in my chart in a crucial area. And the one thing that I notice is that you have the ability to see the pros and cons in everything. So you can make allowances for things that other people would find intolerable. You see the pros and cons of it. You see, if a person is suffering from addiction, you see, well, they experienced this loss, and then after this loss, they kind of start drinking excessively, and so you make excuses for what's going on. But I think you're at a point in your life where you're considering what's fair and just. You're considering the amount, there's some sort of accountability that I think you're starting to understand, that enabling never gets you anywhere. And even though to you it's not enabling, it's being very, very logical and emotionally detaching and understanding what they're going through, but it is still a form of enabling if your pros and cons, you stay involved in something that clearly you should not be associating with yourself with at this point. So learning that approval brings you pleasure is something that you learn very young. I think that for many of you, this is perhaps a learned behavior from some sort of authority figure in your life. So it could have been a mother or a father figure, whoever had the authority, that you just did what you were told, and what you were told gave you approval, and you like approval. So I believe that for many of you, this is what you thought to be right. I think for many of you, you were taught to be selfless and to cater to what other people want, and then that gives you approval. I think the problem with that is that you're still doing that in your current life. I believe that this is a pattern that's developed over time. I believe that it is hard for you at this point to take those stands that you know will not bring you approval. And this is a coping method, when we get to the point where we get to be an excessive people pleaser, it's a coping method. It's not manipulation. It's more like you're going to get more bees with honey. And you've learned this very, very well. So you have a tendency to tell others what you know that they need to hear. Because here's the thing, at work you kind of tell everybody what they want to hear. You've been taught that this works well. It's a great marketing strategy. Everybody likes you. So it's very hard to then have the authority at home. You tend to want to do the same thing. So for many of you caught in the square in this energy with Saturn, it is because you're trying to do the same pattern that you do at work, at home, and you're trying to people please at home. It's just very difficult. Why do you don't want anything bad at home. You want to constantly just maintain everything in a good feeling. But I think what you need to do is start having the tough conversation. Saturn respects rational thinking, reflection. I mean, this is a pattern you've been in for a while. If you look back, I know that you can see this. So this is the realization that you need to reinforce the lessons that you've learned. And the lesson that you've learned is that telling everybody what they want to hear doesn't actually feed you. And I think that there's come some, you need to be, I mean, Sagittarian energy is very independent thinking. And so there's a sense of, and it's very, very opportunistic. And so I feel that the people that are doing really well in this energy, the high vibration, is that they're the authority figures in their homes and families right now. They're the people that are, you know, they're very intuitively driven at this point. These Libras are very, they're guided by their beliefs and by their accountability. They're very, very realistic. They're not in that square off of like idealizing outcomes that can't possibly ever happen, unrealistic expectations, any of that. No, their eyes are wide open. They've been experiencing the square between Saturn and Piscean energy. And it's been a realization. And so now it's time to reflect and to reassess. And when we have this retrograde planet, and we need to take a look at the progress we made. And if we're still unintentionally doing this learned behavior, then I think we need to reinforce and elevate and start to say, oh, I'm catching myself doing it again. I need to reinforce that, that there's a sense of power and authority, and there's a sense of internal power, more importantly, that you need to get what you want. Not just tell people, not just attached to the morsel of pleasure they give you, but to actually have the ability to say, you're the authoritarian in this particular situation. Just say, there's a limit. You're going to put an obstacle to it. There's a ramification for that, for not living up to expectation for some of you. So for some of you, it is getting into a habit, a daily habit of maintaining boundaries. It's moving away from coping methods of saying, I'm just going to tell everybody what they want to hear, but you're not true to yourself. You're not true to yourself's needs. I believe many of you need to, in order to pull Saturn away from the square and into this high vibration, there needs to be a sense of intuitively being guided. If that doesn't feel good, don't do it. If you come off and you're like, hey, I'm doing everything I can and I'm still not getting enough, you're not getting enough. And you need to respect that. That's your intuition telling you you're going in the wrong direction with this particular situation. It is about developing a new mindset, a new ritual of accountability, I want you to reconsider the way that you interact. And I mean, it's great to be a Libra and consider the pros and cons all the time, but you can easily fall into the enabling category doing that. So just be mindful of that. Saturn is a benefic planet if you stay in the high vibration of taking some authority into your life, taking the power into your hands and enforcing the rules and regulations and enforcing the rituals that you feel are beneficial and healthy for the entire family. That is going to make you empowered in this energy, and it is going to create some beautiful energy for you if you can just stay away from telling people what they want to hear. Anyhow, guys, thank you so much for watching Annette's Astrology Corner, and I look forward to talking to you guys again on the next astrological event. Hey, dear Scorpios, this is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your energetic reading for Saturn moving into Sagittarius. So, for you, the positive form of this, sorry, I've had a cold. The positive form of this, or the positive vibration, is that what you value is going to be emphasized in this energy. In order to attain what you want, you will have to commit to a routine that keeps the fire burning for what you desire long term. This is not about immediate needs. This is about taking a look down the road and aligning yourself with exactly that. Because here's how we create success. We create success by an idea. So we get this amazing idea. And then we commit to it. And then we create a ritual or a routine around this idea. And then we commit to that. The word commitment is difficult for fully 100% for every Scorpio I know, because there needs to be a lot of pleasure associated with it in order for you to want to pursue it. However, when planets go into retrograde, especially Saturn is not about that planet that reinforces pleasurable things. It's more about you get pleasure. Saturn becomes benefic if you are creating a ritual that has the possibility. So for a while, you're enduring. What you're going through, you have to endure for quite some time. Sorry, guys, I had to turn off the light because I was getting washed out. You guys always complain about my lighting, but it is what it is. Anyhow, so for you, hope has brought a shiny new start right now. You are really energized. It's trying to make a calculated risk makes you very optimistic. I think that there's something you've been thinking about for a while, and that risk, thinking it through, I think because we just went through this ending of this karmic cycle and this ending of this feeling of like lining us up with our intuition. I believe that now that you've been through that cycle, I believe that you're feeling a lot more confident about this particular issue. So you have a lot of support from those that support you moving on in a really healthy way. I think for many of you, this is about that point where you create rituals and routines that reinforce stability. Mental stability, physical health, well-being. I think you're very, very concentrated on those things. I think you're aligning yourself and you're valuing the right things. I think for many of you caught in the high vibration of this, Saturn respects discipline. It's probably the number one thing that planet represents. Duty, responsibility, discipline. So for some of you that want to create healthy rituals and routines, this is the energy to tap into. If you want to move away from rituals that used to create instability in any facet of your life, then there was the realization that we went through with all of that Pluto squaring up, with that Neptune squaring off with Saturn. Saturn had given you several indications of this is the area to focus on. Many of you took that as realizations and you want to move away from it, and you were enlightened because of it. Intuitively, you completed that karmic cycle. So many of you are going to experience Saturn and in a very benefic mood, which is fabulous. For some of you, Saturn will make you extremely realistic by delaying this hopeful outcome if you have not attended to the very minute details. Saturn and Jupiter are both in retrograde, and these two planets, so Jupiter is going to expand the details that you didn't attend to. They're going to become very apparent, and then Saturn is going to give you the realization that that's a no-go. I love this energy if you're trying to figure out the big picture. Now, Sagittarius rules the big picture. Your planet is in Sagittarian thinking. So this is very, very elevated thinking. So sometimes when you are way up here, you forget about these little details down here. It's like at the bottom of every contract, there's that minute writing that they put down there that's like hella important, but they make it just microscopic to read because they have to include it in the legal contract. But and you sign on the dotted line, so they did include it, but they know that if you really read that you would never sign on the dotted line. That's what it is. The devil's in the details. So for some of you that are caught in that devil in the detail, that realization that, wow, I am still aligned with the wrong energy. What I'm valuing, it's the realization is I should not be valuing that. That's okay. Realizations take a while for all of us to process. And for some of you, it's just taking you a little bit longer. But what I love about this is that you've got the flip side of this energy. And that is once you receive the realization and you align with it and you want to move away from that ritual, that routine, that mindset, and you want to reassess, realign your thinking, you want to reflect on creating a value system, a belief system that has the possibility for longevity and that you could make an actual commitment to, then you're on track again. So it doesn't, either energy is very, very resourceful. This is all about resources. It's all about being able to find the resources once you attain this type of mental discipline, this mindset. You are going to tap into the beautiful power of a Saturn, that's in a really great mood, a benefic Saturn. So remember that you go through the entire transit. So where you start isn't always where you're going to end up. So don't worry about things. Anyhow, guys, thank you so much for watching Annette's Astrology Corner. And I look forward to talking to you guys again on the next astrological event. Hi, dear Sagittarius. This is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner. And this is your energetic reading for Saturn retrograding in Sagittarius, which means obviously it's retrograding in your first house. So Saturn will square Jupiter both in retrograde. That's very, very interesting. So your ruler sitting in a retrograde in Virgo, it is being squared by Saturn in retrograde. So this has to do with recognition. Screams recognition to me. Or attention, or that the career, life, path, destiny that you're trying to align with, redefine yourself, develop a sense of identity is very, very much under fire in this energy. This is a wake-up call, I believe, for many of you. This could be expanding a health problem, a limitation. You need to stop doing something that is making you either outwardly appear out of control or inwardly. Virgo rules mental health and physical health and work routine. So for many of you, I'm feeling that there's a sense that you are not imbalanced in some facet between, and this could be that you're just pushing yourself to absolute limits. So what happens is Saturn comes in, puts up a big stop sign, and says, you need to relax and slow down. I'm going to throw up an obstacle right here because there's something that you need to take a look at. You need to reassess. You need to reevaluate where you are at in this energy, because I believe that for many of you, you have just been, you're kind of maxed. You guys have been having one of these times in your life that really develop character, really redefine our character. And I believe that if you're going through this definition of character, what it ends up doing is redefining the way that you see yourself, or the way that others view you, or the way that you think that you want others to see you. There's something that you need, that you're under this evaluation period. So, some of you may actually hit a flat out brick wall. It may be an absolute stop sign. Right now, Jupiter is not in conjunction with the North Node. This isn't about moving ahead. This isn't about ascending. This is about stop. Or I'm going to expand Jupiter in Virgo. I'm going to expand this issue that seems to be very, very out of control right now. So, I think that balance is an issue that has been brewing for some time. It is time to take a look at the negative energy sources in your life and face your responsibilities. For some of you, this is about being accountable. This is about being accountable to family members, accountable to your commitments to your home and family. This is about aligning you with what you value and why you value it. Why are you attaching value to these things? This is a very big reflective point for you. I believe it's time to reassess, for sure. You don't only get to move forward with things that feel good. So sometimes Saturn's a planet about doing the things that don't feel good. Filing your taxes. It's about, paying your bills. It's about being responsible. It's about the daily mundane it's about the mundane side of life. It's hard for such a big sign like you, who is very, very fulfilled usually. Jupiter's very, very lucky. It's very, very expansive. But you're not used to the sense of accountability that doesn't it makes you feel trapped and harnessed and restricted. But Saturn rules restriction. So if you want to get benefic, you have to start living in a state of accountability. You don't just get to be out doing whatever you want, and there's no sense of accountability in the world. So I believe that this is about attending to the mundane details and valuing all levels of discipline. This is about disciplining your life. This is about walking on a path and being something that somebody can count on and staying true to your word at all costs. This is about longevity, more importantly, creating. It's about when people look at you, they know they can rely on you 110%. When they think of you, they associate duty and responsibility with you. That's what it is. And that's difficult. Because that is about creating steady rituals and routines and being responsible. And those are all kind of bummer things for poor little Sagittarius, who are just these adventurous souls that just want to create the world and paint the world and expand and shine and be fun and opportunistic. But this is about being accountable. You have a lot going good in your life, and there's a lot of good things to live for. It's about setting up routines to maintain all of those good things. Thank you so much for watching Annette's Astrology Corner, and I look forward to talking to you guys again on the next astrological event. Hey dear Capricorns, this is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your energetic reading for Saturn retrograding in Sagittarius. Guys, big news for you. This is your ruler. It's a big deal. So when your ruler goes retrograde, that's a slow down period for you. You get to relax. You get to reflect. You maybe get to reconsider some of the lessons learned. You get to redirect your energy. You get the time to do this. which is nice sometimes. It's about reality versus idealism in this energy for many of you. It's about it reveals the low vibrations, but it's not in a way that there's a sense of stop if you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing. There's an obstacle that's thrown up, and then it's just a reflective reassessment point. It's like when you're driving your car and you hit and you know a tree fell in the road, you have to stop your car. You have to pull out your map and you're like, well, this was the only road that got me here. Where do I need to go now? It's that kind of energy, just an absolute let's reassess, let's reflect, let's think about where we need to go moving forward. It's very, very powerful energy in a really high vibration. So your ruler is in a state of reflection. It's time for you to slow down and attend to your home and family. Lots of details around the home that possibly could really elevate. It's about all of the little things that you need to do around home. Home and family is a big, big plus in this energy. It's time to make time for family that you may not have been able to make some time for. You need to get a lot of rest right now. Repressed thoughts may appear in this energy, and you want to be ready for them. You know, this is about empowerment on a very psychological level for you. So this is about realizations. It's about the way you think, the way that you process, the way that you assess your environment. Sorry, my dog is being very sad. He wants some attention. So a retrograde brings the past forward. If you are not at peace with the past, you will need to seek some mental comfort that only home and family can give you. Sometimes it's so funny. You're just living this life and you're trying to just reinforce your identity. You're trying to reestablish yourself. You're trying to move away from mindsets and in this energy has really been reinforcing some of your beliefs. And I completely believe that there's just a peace and there's a harmony that's associated for many of you with home and family, or you know, looking, maybe some of you are really tying your identity into your homes. Maybe many of you are thinking about where you want to live, or you know, the end of your life, or you know, like the places that you want to end up. Many of you are thinking those types of, there's really long range thoughts that are going on right now. And so this is just that slow down time for you where you get to reassess at a pace you enjoy, because you're a very slow mover. And so you need the pace to slow down sometimes. So this is actually a blessing for many of you. Now, negative forms of vibration. Well, Jupiter and Saturn are both in retrograde. They may bring forth an issue that you need to probe further behind the scenes to decipher. Many of you are going to be doing a lot of work. This is a great time for getting a counselor, working through many of these psychological things, that programming that may have happened from childhood, may have happened from, you know, interactions with siblings. And there's just a lot of, you're clearing out the old and you're making room for the new. And so sometimes when we clear out the old, there's realizations associated with that. And we need to just reassess how we develop really good coping methods, how we stay empowered, how we direct our thoughts. All the planets are going to start to retrograde, and it's going to give us time to reassess a lot about ourselves, our external world especially, but our internal world. It's about, you know, what we're aligning with. And I think for some of us on a very big scale, our beliefs are being is being challenged. Are the way that we review the sources, the way that we validate people in our lives and validate the sources in our lives, are all big parts of this energy. You may try to avoid what you don't want to see, but I got to tell you, it's going to be impossible, because Jupiter's going to expand the areas that you're not realistic with, that you're idealizing, that you are not dealing with. It's only so that it can redirect you towards some sources that have the ability to create some sort of benefic ending to all of this exploration. I think what I think is happening is that you're examining your belief systems, you're examining your philosophy, and you're attaching a lot of your identity to all of that. And when you do that, inevitably you open up Pandora's box. You start exploring yourself. And that is the greatest exploration that all of us can go on. It's just that exploration of our own psyche. That's a biggie, and you are on this. And this is about discipline. This is about releasing yourself from the fears of the past and where you tend to sabotage your own success. It's a beautiful energy. I love slow down energy for you. I feel that it really gives you that breath that you need. I believe many of you are going to just love this time, soak up home and family, work on a project at home, redo your home. If you have been wanting to align yourself and this is some sort of past-based mindset, maybe you've been thinking about remodeling a room, it's probably the time to start making that. And any of the details that you don't consider, obstacles will be thrown up by Saturn, and you'll know that that's not the route to go. Anyhow, guys, thank you so much for watching Annette's Astrology Corner, and I look forward to talking to you guys again on the next astrological event. Hi, dear Aquarius. This is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your energetic reading for Saturn retrograding in Sagittarius. Now, for you, this is a big deal because one of your rulers is it's Saturn in Sagittarius. So Saturn and Uranus are going to be trining in this energy, and this is all about communicating. This is all about friends, hopes, dreams, wishes. This is about the big stuff. I think you're really, really realigning the way that you think, who you are aligning with, the hopeful outcomes that you see. They're much more realistic. I believe there's an ease in your thinking. I believe there's some clarity of what you're redefining your ego, you're attaching it to. Your ruler is going to retrograde while you're trining your other ruler. I feel that you have learned all the lessons that you need to learn regarding the challenges lately. You have examined your personal responsibility, and you feel that what's done is done. I mean, you're over it. Like, you are feeling the fire energy. It is starting to reinforce your desire to move away from whatever painful source has been really challenging you lately. And you're ready to move forward, move on. And to you, this makes logical sense. Yes, it does. However, a lot of your energy is in a hella negative vibration, which means there's more to reassess, reflect upon. There's some sort of rituals that I believe that still need some attention. So you may be unconsciously refusing to see the reality of your situation. Your ruler's retrograde can acknowledge the power that reflection can provide. Understand that Saturn is a great source of information. It is probably one of the most beautiful sources of information because it's the wisest energy. It's what allows us to seek wisdom. It's what allows us to transform ourselves so that we have the realization that we need life experience here. It's what rules karma. So if we constantly if we're constantly repeating cycles of behavior, then those karmic cycles need to be paid attention to. And then you need to reassess them. So this is the energy that slows you all down. No matter how much fire you've got in you, no matter how much determination you have, there's a sense of obstacles that get thrown up making you have to reflect and reassess and slow down. So there's a sense of stop and start that's going to be quite frustrating for you, I think, for some of you that want to persevere, move on at all costs, and to hell with everything else because you're over it. That's going to be futile in this energy. So moving forward right now is going to show you that reflection is an invaluable tool. As you hit another obstacle, as you get the realization that you need to possibly learn a little bit more, or that there was something that you did not see still, or that you are still attaching some sort of allusion to what you are valuing. Maybe there's a mindset that just you can't let go of. I believe that that's where you're going to receive these realizations. And that realization is frustrating because there's nothing worse than I'm trying to get over it, but there's this sense of I don't have the control that I desire. There's a sense that this is out of your control for some of you. For some of you, the sense that it's out of your control is not something that you align with. You are in control. You love control. Saturn's your ruler. You're all about control. But there's a sense that you're on a locomotive train for some of you, suffering psychologically, deeply from something that is very, very, very past related. This reflection point, when all these planets start dropping into retrogrades, there's a sense of a reality check that goes along with that. I believe it's very, very important before we start to launch forward that we reflect on what not to do. I know that when I was young, I used to just be this crazy independent person that I would just go take me and my dog alone, not tell a soul because I don't need nobody. And I would go and free climb a rock and not fucking tell anybody. That's crazy town. Because then I watched that movie 127 Hours where he gets wedged in a rock. And he ends up getting his arm caught and he didn't tell anybody. And so he saws off his own arm. Now I reassess and realign myself with the correct energy because that's what it takes to really honestly pull off my life. So I could have died 100 times. I'm lucky I didn't. But now I learned my lessons and I'm smarter. I'm smarter and I'm better than that. Sorry guys, I had to take my dog out. So sorry about that. Anyhow, so for some of you, it's just this very, very pivotal time in your life where I think that you need to see something. So reflection is amazing. What we need to do is only align ourselves with stuff that's going to last the test of time. And when Saturn, you have to understand that when Saturn falls into retrograde, it allows us to reassess where we're at. And it creates delays in progress. What it does is it takes our life right now and it redirects our attention onto those mundane details, those things we refuse to see. The attention to detail is very finite in this energy. Also with Jupiter in retrograde as well, there's a sense of expanding anything that is not in alignment, that is not balanced, that does not provide you with some sort of balance. So here's what I feel like. I feel like for many of you, there was some sort of area in your life where I don't believe that you had mental balance. It doesn't mean that I think all of you guys are crazy and that you guys are just not in balance. That's not what I'm meaning. I'm meaning that you have a very extreme ruler. Uranus is extreme. It pushes you to your extremes so much. Saturn is about dialing all of that energy back and saying, I pushed you here. What was the consequence of that? The dedication that you poured into that endeavor. you're not Superman. You're like every other human being, that it sometimes needs to slow down, reflect, pause, and restore yourselves. And I believe that for some of you, that when you do this, there's just realizations that inevitably happen if you have enough time reflecting, especially on places where you experienced a loss, or you didn't, or you experienced something that you suffered from. Then I think the realization is, what did that really, what was the consequence of that for real? There's a sense of, I mean, I have such deep compassion when I read this, because I believe that you have been like a mouse running on, like you've been like that hamster running on the hamster wheel. And you've been trying to get back on that frickin' hamster wheel because that hamster wheel made you feel good, but that's past. You don't get off the karmic cycle, get off the karmic hamster wheel, and get on to the future, which is what you're all made for. You're completely geared for. But you've been running on a hamster wheel, and there's a cycle that you've been doing that I really deeply believe prevents expansion and creates imbalance. So it's just something to reassess and realign yourself with, and go through the realization and embrace it and let it manifest your potential, because inevitably, once these planets all start to speed back up and return to their normal speed, you're going to be back on track. But have respect for energy when it asks for there to be some sort of reflection, because it's very, very important to align yourself with energy when the energy is at its highest peak. And reflection right now is at its highest peak of energy, slowing down, recalling what you've been through, reassessing the ramifications of what you've been through, like the psychological ramifications. It's all very, very beautiful too. You don't have to be a forward energy all the time. I know this fire energy is irresistible, but let's just slow it back, dial it back, and enjoy the slowdown period. Anyhow, guys, thank you so much for watching Annette's Astrology Corner, and I look forward to talking to you guys again on the next astrological event. Hi Pisces, it's Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your energetic reading for Saturn retrograding in Sagittarius. Now for you, this is a really big deal. It's reality 101. Saturn's a bummer for you. I think Saturn is the point where it's where illusion meets reality. It's that exact point where there's a sense of the real world is mundane. It's the details. The details are, it's all about the details. And so for many people, the strange thing about this is Saturn squares your ruler during this challenging time, which can test the relationship with yourself. I think the realization is, what type of relationship do you have with yourself right now? Is the realization making you face the fact that there are many things about yourself that you don't really want to acknowledge? That there is something within you that you refuse to see. There's a sense you don't want to be accountable for your part in your life. These are things that Saturn is going to make you reflect upon, especially when we're dealing with so much first house work. We're dealing with how others perceive us and how we perceive ourselves. So if we're getting a lot of flack from significant relationships, I would pay attention to the way that they view you. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to mold yourself into whatever they see, because that's the absolute wrong side of this energy. That would be the negative form of the vibration of this energy. The positive is, I would take a look at that and think, how valuable is what they are observing to me, and then creating duties and responsibilities and rituals that enforce that characteristic. Let's say that people perceive you to be lazy. I'm not saying you are, so don't be drama. I'm just saying they perceive you that way. in your head, you are involved in this creative project. You're working over here, you're doing that, but you're not attending to the mundane details of the house. People are complaining about the fact that you're messy. But you don't got time for that. Hello, you're doing this and this and this. So the reality is, it's just a detail that you don't pay attention to, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. It's not that you're lazy. It's that it's just a detail you don't see initially. So Saturn is that planet that makes you see that detail, what you refuse to see. For many of you, this has to do with the life path destiny you're on, the direction you wish to go. If you have a partner that is giving you some input, I'm going to say it negative, or there's some sort of opposition associated with it, and I want to say that it has something to do with a ritual or a routine that you're doing, or a mindset, then I would pay attention. It's just a signal from the universe of this is where you're restricted, your limitation. This is where there's something you aren't realistically looking at in that particular area. So this is all of your energy for this particular start of this transit. Is just it's very driving a point home. It's reinforcing a lesson. Saturn really is pulling you into the classroom, sticking you at the front of the class and saying, here is exactly where you're going wrong. It is something that you're attaching a lot of personal value to. This is how you perceive yourself. So there's a lot mentally invested in this reality check that is unpleasant. And I'm not going to lie, sometimes when we go through these unpleasant reality checks, there's a sense of feeling wounded and sorry for yourself, and the realization is that the world is against you, and you start to go down that road, and that can happen for you. Or there's a sense of, I'm just going to pour myself into my job and my work, and I'm just not going to pay attention to this thing that's unpleasant over here, and that's not the best form of energy as well. So I want you to assess, are you blindly following somebody else's perception of yourself? Are you making your own decisions, or are you avoiding the decisions in your life, the details, attending to the details? Are you leaving the details up to somebody else? Dumb. Because what if they're making decisions based on how they perceive you, but not how you perceive you? It's really important to consider that, because you're defining you, you're redefining you, you're reassessing what you want from life. You're molding up your own piece of clay. Don't touch my clay. This is my clay. You got to get selfish. You're so used to being selfless that you don't assess what you need at this point. And that's the most important thing when you get into these. Once all these planets start dropping into retrograde, you're going to get very, very clear. I think that there's something that you're not seeing, and I think there's something that you need to reflect upon. Yes, but I think that it will come to you, and there will be a realization that this is very, very important right now. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching Annette's Astrology Corner, and I